Is the season of isolation that you're in, is that God-driven or is it driven by fear? Is it that you were just isolated and decided that because it's going on and on, this is where God must want me, but you never actually asked God? Another option is, did God lead you to be in that season of isolation, that season of stepping back, that season of refocusing, restructuring, review, and you just stayed there? And you actually were supposed to be out of that season 6 months to a year ago? Okay, so let's get into it. First, we've been talking about why you may be isolating, whether you know it or not. Some effects of isolation, like what happens when you are alone too long. And then we're going to talk about how to get out of it. Yes, there's a solution, there's a plan, there's some steps you can take. I'm not going to leave you hanging. Let's jump into it. So, a big reason why people isolate is due to fear. It's just kind of a byproduct of fear. We may not even realize that we've been isolating, which is the gag. We may just say, oh, I'm a homebody, I'm an introvert. A lot of these very popular terms that we adopt to really cover up what's actually happening for us. It's scary outside. After the pandemic, especially, human beings spending 2 years isolated in the house, really scared to go outside, it changes you. And that lasts for long. I think sometimes people think that that time is over, but we're still feeling the effects of COVID. So there was a real fear that started, right? And then it took us a while to get back outside. Then next thing you know, there's explosion of social media, which is telling us daily that outside is dangerous. You can't trust people outside. You see all these videos and these messages of people who are struggling to make friends or people who are being betrayed. And it does cause fear, even for the strongest of us. It's like, do I really want to go outside? So we tend to stay inside. Then you get too used to being in the house. I'm not saying that you can't be an introvert. I'm not saying that you can't love being at home. But where is the difference? Where's the line between you love being at home, you love being an introvert, everything you need is at home, versus you're just scared to go outside? And one of the things I want to talk about is some of the effects of isolation. So one, it causes a general mistrust of people. Just a general mistrust of people, because what you are consuming is, you're inside doing something. And unfortunately, most of the time it's social media. And social media does not always show people in the best light. It gives you a false perception of what the outside world is. If all you're doing is consuming, and I'm telling you, even if you don't think that this is you, social media gets to us all. Too much social media really does change our perception of the world. If you work from home, are at home, you got you and your family's world, or if you don't have any of that, just your world, and then you got social media. And you got a little bit of taste of maybe what people at the grocery store are like, or people at Target are like. But in social settings, when's the last time you really been in one? And hey, this is not to attack anybody. Sometimes I look up and I'm like, dang, when's the last time I really went out to a social event? And not a virtual one. Isolation can also cause anxiousness and overthinking. So I already went over a few of those things, but basically if you're in the house and you don't get out, when you do try to get out, you may cause yourself to overthink what these experiences are gonna be like. Have you ever really thought about going to an event? Let's say you're invited to something, or you're just gonna go out to a social event, a community event, a get together, something on Meetup, and you realize you've been thinking about it for 3 days, what you're gonna wear, what you're gonna say, how you're gonna do it, and then you get there and it's not to the level that you thought. It's just a bunch of people sitting there talking, nervous too. That's why you have to get out there to experience what these things are like. A big byproduct of isolation is self-doubt. You start to wonder, hey, I don't know if I can still do the things I used to do. I don't know if I'm still that lively person. I don't know if I'm gonna have fun there. I don't know if I can hold conversations with people. You start to doubt who you are. You start to doubt the power of you. You start to doubt your personality and how people would love to have a personality like yours in their group. Another big thing is fear of rejection. And this comes from staying in the house so long and needing to be in community that the fear of not being able to receive it becomes debilitating. Like, we just tend to make up these stories in our mind, and those stories become true because you got to really think about it. Why would you go to a book club? Why would you go to a running club? Why would you go to a church event and be rejected? Not saying that it doesn't happen, but why would that be slotted for you? Like, where'd you get that idea from? Even if it's something that happened in the past, it doesn't mean it's going to happen now. And then the biggest one, over reliance on self. I know you're independent, you don't need anybody, but that eventually becomes toxic. Yes, you have a toxic relationship with yourself. You're carrying all the burdens alone, feeling like you only have you to solve the problems, that you don't have anybody else to go to. And that causes burnout. Not having anyone just to talk to about your day, your problems, or not having an escape. Maybe you are going through something and you just need to get out in the community. We cannot do it all alone, y'all. We cannot. It's just not the way that God wanted things to be. There's seasons of isolation, but I don't know about lifetimes. Some of us are running up on these lifetimes. There's moments in our life. Yes, there's seasons, but how many seasons is there for you? And hey, if you're like, hey, I'm still in a season of isolation because I feel like I haven't got the word, or I don't really understand what God is telling me, I haven't got it yet to get out of it, keep doing it. This is not for you. This is for a specific type of person that I'm talking to. You know, if this is you, you know it's you. Because I knew it was me. And we have to remember that the enemy loves isolation. The enemy loves us to just have us and him. To not have no exposure to the outside world. To start relying on ourselves. Believing that we have more than what we have. That we don't need anybody else. And unfortunately, sometimes that anybody else turns to God too. So we have to be careful about isolation. Look, trust me, I know it's scary. I know you may be like, well, Anthony, yeah, some of that stuff does apply to me, but I just don't know what to do. I tried it. I don't like it. And let me tell you something. One thing, this is going to be small rant. I understand like why it's hard to really get out there and to create community. There's a few things. One, it does feel like a lot of people go to those events with like groups of people and they're not really looking to make friends. And like, that's not the community organizer's fault, but it's just like a lot of these events you go to that are organized, people show up with the friends they already have. They're not looking to make new friends. So then it's like the people who came alone, you're still kind of alone. And like, I could get odd. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sitting here by myself. Like, I try to go up and make friends, but I also understand even when you are trying to make friends, like it's hard. People don't really know how to have conversation, or you could tell that people are nervous, or they could be dealing with social anxiety, but it's like it's harder to do it, especially when you're an adult. Like, adult making friends is very, very hard. So I understand that. Two, something I do not like is I cannot stand going to an event to like make friends or meet new people, and somebody's trying to take 2,000 photos of every single thing we're doing. You could take one photo or even a few photos to like say, hey, people showed up. This is what it looks like. We had fun. And I know this is a rant, but I have been one of those people who I go to an event that's an hour and a half, and it's 1,000 photos. Okay, rant done. And look, I know it's going to take effort. Like, later this week, I'm going to a silent book club. I don't know what that is, but I love to read, so I'm going to be in there with the readers. Like, it did take me some time to really find events and things for things I wanted to do. But I'm gonna tell you, when I really decided, like, I think it's time for you to really get out there, like creep out there, I felt I had so much nervousness. I had to start small. And that's the first step. So the first step is starting small. That's just getting comfortable with going out, like going to a local coffee shop early in the morning when there's not a lot of people there. going to events where you can sit outside where there's a lot of people, but maybe you just sit there with your blanket and your chair, like you're around people but you don't really have to interact with a ton of people. Low pressure outings, take a walk, go to the park, like go to the movies alone. Just get used to being out and about. It really helps. Then make a plan. Make a plan. Like for me, I'm up early, so I like to go out early in the day. I know I make room to stay. Like I'm not like out from 7 to 9 when no one else is out, but I may be home by 2 o'clock. But I don't feel like I'm stuck in the house. I don't get too in my head because I've been outside all day. Now I do go to other events. I don't want it to seem like, girl, you kind of sound like you stuck inside too. No, I go to a lot of other things, but my preference is really to go out in the morning. Make a plan. Decide on the duration of your event. Hey, I'm going outside. I'm staying outside for 2 hours. This event is 4 hours. I'm going to the park for 2. Because it gives you a sense of control. And we all know how we like control. Check out spaces that are low demand, like that don't require a lot of anybody. You could do fitness classes. You could do book club meetups where, make sure it says like, you don't have to read the whole book because some of them are too intense. Like I like the ones that say, if you didn't make it through the book, still come. Because some of them are scholars on them books. And I'm like, dang, I read it. I loved it. That's all I got. So choose some events that are low demand. They don't require a lot of you. Even Bible studies, things like that. Like I do know that it's been hard, but people are really doing more. So you have to also be active in what you want. You have to be a participant. You have to be an active participant in your life. So you may have to look, but it's out there. Something that helps me is to practice gratitude and affirmations before and after I go out. It just kind of puts things in perspective for me. Like I'm so thankful that I can walk to the local park. I'm so thankful that I have cool coffee shops in my neighborhood. I'm so thankful that I have readers in my neighborhood. Sorry, but it helps to just put things in perspective. And it also helps to put things in perspective when you're saying affirmations like, I am living on purpose. And look, when we're nervous about things, if we have anxiety, if we experience just like not really being used to being out in social groups, it just takes time. The more you do it, the less likely you will be to be anxious. And I'm telling you, you will find your people. It feels like we may not, but we will. Slowly but surely. And if you are still in the house isolating because something occurred, you had a very bad experience with friendships, do not let people who did something to you in the past bar you from your future. Do not allow them to have a hold on your future. Do the work, get into therapy, get into community, and get the life that you deserve. They just weren't a part of it. Look, God created us to have community. We have to remember that. All of us. Do not indulge in the rhetoric out there that like, oh, God had some people that were just alone forever. Why does that have to be you? Don't adopt other people's beliefs and their plans for their life. Okay, so I asked 2 things. One, really sit and ask God if you're supposed to be in a season of isolation or if you're not. And if you've been in it for a while and you feel like God has called you to it and you're unsure of what's going on, submit to Him and ask, what am I supposed to do in this season? Am I still supposed to be here? And then 2, do something social. Get outside. If you see this video, take it as a sign. Get outside and be in community. I just want to end with this one thing. This is something I tell my therapy clients. If there's a you that exists in this world that wants community, that wants to be a true friend, that wants to do like things that you consider friends to do, stay up at night talking, going on trips together, taking walks together, being each other's accountability partners, like whatever it is, however you see friendship, you are a type of person who values your friends and loves your friends and wants to be in community with them and wants to be considered family with your friends. If there's a you, there's another you. Okay? All right. So get out there this week. That's all I have. Bye.